This episode is proudly sponsored by McKee, Campbell, Morrison Solicitors. Whether you need expert legal advice for personal or business matters, their experienced team is here to help you navigate the law with confidence. Welcome to FoundHer Place Scaling Businesses. I'm Stacy Campbell, co-founder and managing director of McKee, Campbell, Morrison Solicitors.
And I'm Lynne Kennedy, I'm founder of Businesswomen Scotland and BWC Franchise.
And today we are joined by two absolute powerhouses of Scotland's creative industry. Wow. Alison Bruce and Rosalynd Ramage, co-founder of Colours Model Agency.
Welcome.
Thank you.
A pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So Alison and Rosalynd have built a Scottish agency with global impact, and we can't wait to dive into how they've scaled it. So ladies, there's no one better to tell a founder story than you. Where did it all begin?
Ooh.
3 decades ago.
Yeah, it feels like 100 years ago. We met on Taggart. We were cocktail waitresses on Taggart with Amanda Redmond. It was Black Orchid, I think. Did we film it in the Rotunda? I think we did.
It was either the Rotunda or the Cat House.
I think it was the Rotunda. The Cat House was another one where you weren't with me. We had matching pink dresses and we got our own Winnebago and we thought we were the bomb.
Nice. I bet you were. I'm sure you were.
Oh no, we were poor as church mice. We had no money.
So did that give you the oomph to do something about that?
No, not really. I'd like to say yes, that absolutely was the motivation for it. But we just got on immediately and we had such a good time together. And
such
a real connection of friendship there really quickly.
Because you're on set for such a long time. I worked in Taggart as well. But I've done the set design with the last one was Mark McManus.
A lot of downtime.
Is that the one you were on then?
Yes. I think it was. Yeah. So last one with Mark McManus.
Yeah, so bad.
My goodness.
I know.
And here we are.
I know, all these years later. I can't believe it.
And so that...
Aged at all.
Oh, sorry, carry on.
I was going to say, we haven't aged at all.
No.
We haven't. So that obviously led to the moment where you're like, well, let's start an agency?
No, that was still a few years
before,
wasn't it? We became great friends. And we would work together on other jobs. Okay. And as our friendship grew stronger and as we were starting to travel more for jobs, we would talk about what we thought about our own agent, what we would do if we were agents, how we felt the agency could be improved.
We were a bit smug. I think.
I think that's just being young.
I think that's
youthful arrogance.
Yeah.
We were. There was also not too much in Scotland at that time when you were thinking about it and talking about it. There was probably a couple of agencies, but not to the scale that you were probably thinking in your heads how you could take it, or where you could take it to.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't even start as a modelling agency. We started as an events agency.
Right.
So modelling wasn't even on the cards for us. We were adamant we weren't doing that, weren't we?
Yeah, we didn't want to be model agents. I don't know why. I think we just didn't have great agent experiences and we felt as if the industry, and genuinely we did feel this was really vacuous and there wasn't a lot of depth to it. And I kind of think we had this attitude that if we stuck to events and the experiential side, we would really, that's where we would blossom as agents and as business people. Yeah. And we understood it. I worked in marketing. Rosalind's background was economics and accounts. And we kind of thought that's a really good combination of skill set.
A lot of the events agencies at that time, there weren't any in Scotland. They were all based out of London, so you would have to join an agency in London in order to be on, part of a Glasgow events team for new products or new alcohol brands that were happening. And eventually, after a few years, we kept talking about it and thinking, well, we'll be the Scotland agency for that, because there wasn't any. And then we talked about how we would do it. And the whole thing took about 2 years, the planning, didn't it?
Yeah.
Long time.
So it was a gradual process. It wasn't just one day, press the red button, let's just do it. We're going to do it. Find an office or work from home, whatever it may be.
No, we worked from my bedroom for the first 2 years.
Really, really glamorous.
Super glamorous. I would get up in the morning in my pyjamas, go and switch on the computer, because back in those days, in 1998, it probably took about half an hour to warm up.
That's true. Connect, dialing,
like cranking it at the back. I know, it was really bad.
You're trying in the back.
Like an old ZX Spectrum.
And we shared it, didn't we? We had to do things together. all the time. I think that probably was, I've never thought about that. That was a really good foundation for how we worked together, because we had to share this one computer and one phone.
Yeah.
And what was your first contract when you opened up Colours?
The very first job was something rather boring. I think it was just an old kind of like wood merchant. They wanted a couple of girls to hand out flyers and somewhere on Kilmarnock Road.
Yeah, look fabulous and stand outside a shop front. Yeah, you know.
Really dull, really boring, and probably it was raining at this time for the girls. However, the second invoice was much better, because that was actually becoming part of a management team to provide event staff for experiential marketing campaigns and delivering that into bars and clubs. And Alison was quite instrumental in helping that happen, because both Alison and I were on teams like that were getting booked out of London. But then there were more and more agencies in Scotland starting to win their pitches for launches. And then on the back of that, Alison was able to get work for Colours and sell us. I
sold my soul, basically.
So I worked in the agency myself for 2 years, and Alison worked in the industry.
Right.
So
that's like business development, and you were the back end.
I was the hamster.
And what was the fashion sector, I guess, like at that point? I mean,
we weren't involved in the fashion sector.
And it was vibrant enough. There were agents doing a job there.
And there were jobs based in Scotland, or were you?
There were jobs based in Scotland, and it was probably a very good time actually for young models to serve an apprenticeship, because lots of things were in person then, where it's changed now with the change in the world and technology and everything else. But at that point, we were still dipping our toes in and out of conversations, or having those conversations with people that still worked as agents or models. We were booking them on events, so the network was still there. And I was working with a company called BD Network, and the guys that owned it, Willie and Gil, were really good, and I thought, I'm just going to tell them honestly what I'm doing in the background. I've set up a company with my friend, and this is what we're doing, we're staffing. And they were like, great, that's good, let's get some people booked. And they were super supportive in the early years, and then things grew for them very quickly, and they opened an office in London, and things grew for us in a different way. So that was a good foundation relationship, and it gave us a broad perspective on how big agencies worked, and account handling, and how you handle a booking, and how you talk to account handlers. And that was a very good initiation into the industry, which I think made us better agents.
It definitely did, because we were still very front and centre for looking after people, looking after our teams. And you know yourself, having done loads of events, things can change very quickly, and you have to adapt very quickly and be resourceful, and come up with a solution. So with us doing that for, I'd say, a good 5 years or so.
Yeah, I think about 5 or 6 years.
That was a fantastic apprenticip for us.
And at one point we had about 3,000 people that we repped across the UK. So we had
because we grew from Glasgow. We weren't just supplying Glasgow teams for Glasgow clients. We were in Edinburgh, we were in Aberdeen, we were in Birmingham, we were in London, Cambridge,
Bristol.
Yeah.
When did you go international then? Was it just organic? Just won a job and then?
Well, we didn't do any of that in terms of those event teams. What changed and pushed us more towards modelling was, I think it was 2002 or 2003.
I think it was 2.
When the Portman ruling came into play, and that completely changed how you were allowed to promote alcohol.
Oh, the good old Portman ruling.
So that
basically it was a government study that commissioned a ruling to see if the promotion of alcohol and cigarettes were detrimental to people's personal health, and of course they were. They didn't need to commission
lots of money in a study to
they didn't really need to commission it, and then they determined basically that they couldn't promote as much alcohol as they were. So drinks brands were doing lots of sampling and experiential events. So at festivals, like at Glastonbury or the V Festival or Creamfields or Tea in the Park, we were quite heavily involved with drinks brands going there. We would have teams of girls and boys together that would go and promote alcohol to anybody, give it away for free.
Or you'd play games, and that might be one of the prizes.
Yeah, so we had all scuppered overnight almost then, presumably.
Almost overnight, not dissimilar to the shift that's occurred recently with AI, which meant we kind of were prepared for AI because that gave us a good understanding of how things can move quickly.
Which is a huge risk to your business.
Yeah, but it's like being in quicksand when those things happen. You're thinking, what do we do now? Where do we go with this business? Because we love it. We love being in business together. We love repping people. We love looking after them because it's basically glorified social work.
To take it back 28 years ago when you established Colours, you were, both of you, very pioneering because there are not an awful lot of women in business at that point.
We didn't even think about that.
I didn't.
But even if you were going for advice, obviously there was probably a business gateway if you needed to go for advice, but I'm sure you're probably relying on other people and mentors and different things. But just the fact that you've been in 28 years in business together is something really worth celebrating.
It is.
Do you ever kind of look at each other and go, wow, we've been through all the highs and the lows?
We do it all the time. And the other thing is we've been running this business and we've both had children. So we've raised 4 children. We've got married in that time. You know, lots of things have happened and you've got your personal life with your family and your parents and, you know, things that happen, the care of the people that you have in your family. So all of these challenges...
You have to be resourceful.
But they've happened with us together. So when I was having a particularly bad time, Rosalynd was amazing. Like, I couldn't do this business. I couldn't fly solo. I really admire men and women that do when I speak to them and they talk about their business journey. I'm just like, wow, that's amazing.
When they're doing it on their own. I couldn't.
It sounds like you're perfectly aligned, but that really crucially you share the same values.
Yes.
We do. And I think we really appreciate each other's skill base.
Yeah.
Because there's so much that Alison is better than me at and will take the lead on things and vice versa.
Yeah.
But that's the whole thing about a business is that you build a business not on your skills, you're building a team. So you're bringing in other sources, so perfectly balanced to be in partnership.
Yes, yes.
That was good, actually. Well done.
Thank you.
In answer to your original question, because of that change that was forced upon us with the Portman, really, we had to expand and diversify. And that's when we decided that we would also become a model
And
agency.
at that stage, were you models only, or did you start working with other creatives at that point too?
No,
models only.
So models only for a certain period,
Yes.
and then
Models
expanding
only.
there.
And we just started to build relationships because all being an agent is building relationships. Kind of fresh air, which is why nobody wants to fund you. Nobody wants to back you. Nobody really wants to mentor you because
no funding at all.
they don't really understand how does this work. You build a relationship. And just before we started recording, you're like, so you build this relationship, you become a mother agent, and then what happens? Well, it's all trust. It's all fresh air. It's, you know, it's just, you can have a contract in place, and we do obviously have those in place, but so much of it is about building trust between you and that other person and often their family. If it's a young model that travels internationally, you have to build such a great dynamic with their wider circle of family and friends. You need to know about that.
You mentioned it earlier, it's essentially a glorified social work, I guess.
It absolutely is. That's all
sense.
that's what it is. And also having a level of responsibility and due diligence to care and all of the things that you would expect. That was kind of the thing that we wanted to be the difference between us and other agents. We decided we weren't just going to be the kind of agent that brought you in and measured your hips and put you on the scales and said, oh my goodness, you know, this is ridiculous, you need to lose 10 pounds. We thought, oh, we can't be that. I couldn't ever be her anyway. And Rosalynd couldn't.
No.
Sounds like you're humanised.
Yeah, we were always very people
focused.
Always very people focused. And I think the biggest difference for us and probably what led us into it very naturally was that we went from looking after people when we were booking them on events just for that one event and then maybe for the next event to then building a career for somebody. You know, so that was the difference for us.
It has a natural evolution, doesn't it? Because once you gain that understanding of a person and how they tick and what works for them, you're better placed to think about where they will excel in life, or which country or which territory
or how they need to be looked after and which agent overseas is best for them.
That's really important. Which agent is the right fit for them.
And then how do you scale that? I suppose your business is unique, so do you look at, you scale by getting more talent, you scale by doing more cities,
All of those.
bigger clients. It seems like you've ticked the boxes on every single one.
All of those things, but you have to be pretty considered about it. You can't go scattergun out and just go, I'm going to scout all these people, because you then have to have a structure within your agency that you develop them in a considered way, because then you get young people that can't process what you're asking of them, how they deal with it. They're going into an environment that's judged solely on how they look. And that's a horrible environment to go into if you haven't fully prepared them for it. And you absolutely, as an agent, have responsibility for their care. And I sit in rooms with mums and dads and promise them, and guardians, like, we're going to look after them.
I was going to say, it must be that relationship with the parents as well.
Trust
Because
it's really important.
Yeah, for their child to start working in
Really
a modelling
important.
agency.
And you're saying to a mum or a dad or a carer or a guardian, I think he's ready to go to Paris.
Wow.
I think it's time he goes to New York.
My goodness.
Do you not have that kind of excitement when you see them on a catwalk or in a
Every time.
magazine?
Every time.
The proud parents?
Yes,
Yeah.
very much so.
Quite emotional.
I could
as
imagine.
well.
Well, you've nurtured and you've been there and you've been part of their journey and you've seen them growing up as well. So
And we're big criers. We cry a lot.
What does it take, though, to take someone from Glasgow to London, New York, Paris, Milan?
I mean, it doesn't just happen
It sounds
overnight.
so
And this has been a
huge.
gradual build-up over years. And I think probably for us, when your talent come to you and ask you for advice, or when clients are really happy with the service that you've given them and they come back and you get lots of repeat business, and then people are recommending you, and your talent are then out being ambassadors for you, is really important. So all those things, we've always had strong foundations in place. We were always wanted to run a very professional business, always wanted to run it with integrity and with care for the people, the staff that worked with us, as well as the models. We wanted to look after the clients.
Create a culture in the office that's very much about being considerate around young people and not babying them, because there's a lot of that happens as well externally. When they come to you, we get parents that bring their kids in, and it's not always parents bringing them. 18 and 19-year-olds can still come to the door and say, I want to model, but a lot of them are like, oh, Alison, he's really shy, can you build his confidence?
No.
Which is lovely.
Yeah, it's quite a big ask, though, as well.
And I'm about to put him in an environment where they could potentially annihilate his confidence, not on purpose, but just because they're now judging him from top to toe and how he looks.
And
how
they
he
have an
presents.
expectation.
That conscious age in life, isn't it?
Yes, at an age where
You've not built your resilience up yet.
no, you've not had the time to do it.
Yeah.
It must be so difficult, though, saying no, because not everybody can be a yes. So how do you
The
deal with
no's are
that?
hard.
They're hard.
That's hard.
Or
or
the
you
no's
say
if it's
yes.
been a yes. And then
Well, sometimes you say yes because you see something. I mean, we've had models we've repped over the years. Natasha Loedy's a good example, where lots of people said no to, and we tried to place her in London about 3 times and everybody said no. And then eventually it was so we had to have her back for that time.
Yeah.
And she was saying to us, is this for me? Like, she went through uni and she got her degree and everything, and she kept saying, I know I can do it. She's a great model. That was
Very
never
clever girl.
super smart. The issue was not that she couldn't model. The issue was the market ready for her?
Oh, right place, right time.
I was
you
listening
have
to
to wait
Davina
for that.
McCall's podcast. I think she was speaking to Penny Lancaster, actually, and I didn't know, but Davina used to be a model, and her agency said, look, not for you, beat it. So
It's brutal.
it's brutal.
It's really brutal.
is the word.
And there's kind of no way to make that a nice conversation, in the sense that you're saying, listen, I think you're a lovely person.
And she's obviously gone on to have success in other areas of creative industry. So she's a
not your
good,
field.
she's a good example of it. But
And how do you find now the look? Because obviously the look has changed over the years. I don't know, with Botox,
it's completely
and fillers.
changed.
And how do you say to somebody, just don't do that? A young
We tell them don't do that.
We just have
say directly.
absolutely do
we
not
just,
do that.
We just have to have those uncomfortable conversations, which I love to have an uncomfortable
Because they all kind of
conversation.
morph into this one look now, isn't it? So it must be quite difficult to
It's
try
an
and get a
awful
natural
look. And the models that
looking
we
person.
rep, that we place internationally, don't look anything like that. They're not looking like the big sort of plumped up lips and starey eyes. And I could use a good comparison about what I think they look like, but I'm not going to. Not in this podcast. But I don't.
I mean, there's a market.
I think
there's
it's
a
a
market
really
for
un-
all looks.
but it's a
that's the
very.
great thing about today. There is a market for all looks.
But there is an unhealthy approach to that, and I really feel quite strongly about that, where young women especially feel that they need to hone the face and have it look a certain way in order to be attractive and appealing to a certain marketplace, and I don't think it's right.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think it's really poor show for them and for their mental health and their emotional well-being.
Then that's all back to people watching all their Insta, TikTok, social media parts, isn't it? It's got a lot to do with more, and also just reality TV. Actually, to get a job on reality TV, and they're going to make their thousands and going to be a brand ambassador for a company. So they're looking at it as a bigger picture.
And we don't rep those people. We don't rep influencers. We're looking at girls and boys that can walk in Dior and do a Chanel campaign, you know. So it's an elevated end of the industry. And then we have the jobbing Scottish models, which is also a wonderful element of the industry because more productions happen here now than ever before. You know, you've got great people like Location Scotland, Ella's Productions, Minnie Owen, and all the guys that are flying the flag for Scotland internationally. So that's been helpful. And the industry that we work in is quite a small community as well. And you find, I think it's one of those industries, if you look at it externally, you think it's full of Meryl Streep Devil Wears Prada monsters, and it's not, because that's not the agent's role. The agent is a glorified social worker, mum, carer, confidant, therapist. You're there to make sure that they're okay.
And you're also a business, so if you wear Devils Wear Prada, presumably you wouldn't have any talent to pass to clients. So
I mean, it's
it's
like Scotland that can only get 5.5 million population. It's hard enough to scout.
So I'm really interested, how do you scout? Just walk about the streets?
We street scout. So Ross, predominantly street scouts. He did it with Katie. So Ross used to work at Nick's and at Premier Models. It's Storm, sorry. Mark scouts. So Mark's worked in the industry as a designer as well. So he's a really good eye. So they have really good eye. We also had Katie scouting. We've sometimes used external scouts, but I scout. Like, I was in Sainsbury's the other night buying sleepy tea. With my dry robe and my wellies on, and I stopped this girl,
tapping her on the shoulder,
and she was like a full jump scare. She was like, "Oh, there's an old lady with specs at the end of her nose and this bright dry robe on." And I said to her, "Thank you, hi."
You can carry a business card just saying, "I am legit."
A warrant card.
And I don't always, because I've been walking the dog, so I was very much like, "I'm Alison, I'm from Colours Agency," and you could tell she just thought this is a maniac in Sainsbury's. Why she's so?
There we go.
She emailed this morning to say, "I met a really nice woman in Sainsbury's," and Ross was like, "That's great, you got another one to come in." So you are looking, and she's got an incredible face, this girl, but you are looking for people that don't, sometimes the ones that don't think they've got the quality that we're looking for are, you know, the girl that's, or the boy that's maybe a bit like, "Oh, I don't know if I could." That's one you really want, because they have an amazing face and they don't give themselves the credit for that, or they have an amazing look, or they can really model. Sometimes people that think they're incredibly gorgeous are not the ones. But that's not always the case.
But is that thing, isn't it, that if you meet somebody in real life but they look completely different behind a camera?
Yeah,
for sure.
Some people come alive.
They just look amazing, and you think, "Oh wow, that's amazing."
And like you say, your models, I mean, they're right up at the top of the game. Walking Chanel.
Well, Kathy Simmons, who's from Mulgai, just did Chanel campaign, and she was the first.
She's doing couture show today.
She's doing couture today. And Kathy was the first one, Scottish girl, to walk in Chanel since Kirsty Hume, which was about 16 years ago.
Yeah.
In fact, Ivy
was first. Now Kathy.
So we have two.
Got two Chanel
Ivy
In the space of the last year.
Are you not tempted to go to the show?
Well, we've been out to Paris and London and all these places. It's not even, if we're not needed there, we don't need to go.
No, I suppose if you've done it once, but I would still be, that's excitement.
It doesn't take away the excitement of it.
I don't even think
so that
it's
doesn't
about
change.
whether we want to go, because for me, that's where you become a better agent. So my ego would be such. In the early years where I'd be like, I need to be there, I need to see this, I need to sort of process it from my own brain.
Yeah, just see it's real now.
Yes, but now we know it's real because it's 28 years. So we're like, we know she'll be fine. She's got a great team. We've got Kathy placed at Select. We've got Ivy placed at IMG Worldwide. That's a really strong agency. I mean, they're huge. And the team of people that are there are amazing. So if they're in Paris, they're in and out, their agent, you know,
And they're so great at looking after them.
and the bookers, which are what we are, bookers and agents, they're brilliant. They've look after them, they keep an eye on them, they feed back to us. So we all talk to one another.
Yeah. So that's your years of experience coming into play there, just knowing that they're in good hands, so you can just look after the business from here.
And we keep in touch with them. It's not like they're out of sight, out of mind when they're over there. We're in constant touch with them as well to make sure that they're okay and everything's going as it should be.
Yeah. And I think if we went, it would just be a bit of a vanity project.
Yeah.
You know, we worked in Dior.
Yeah.
And when we worked in Dior, I worked on one side, Rosalynd worked on the other side of it. She was with hair and makeup artists and all the creatives, and I did all the model butlers, which was like 110 male models that I had to book. And
that's a tough gig.
It was really tough. I can't tell you how difficult it was. It was so hard.
the industry, obviously, I mean, we're talking nearly 3 decades that you've been going strong in this industry, and the shift in that time must be huge.
So what's your high, since you've been running the business? What are your highs?
For me, I think just from a business point of view, I've got a few highs. I think from a business point of view, for me, still running a people priority business after 28 years, and that we are still here and still our values haven't changed. I'm really, really proud of that.
Yeah.
I also think that having the opportunity that we did for Dior to come to us and ask us to provide all the hair and makeup artists for the fashion show when it was happening up at Drummond Castle, all the hair and makeup artists at Glen Eagles, which is where all the VIPs were staying. So Jennifer Lawrence, Minnie Driver, Jerry Halliwell, you know,
you're such a name for
the celebs. And you tell us more, tell us.
I love that.
But I really felt that we worked on the Chanel Métier d'Art show back in 2012. So 12 years since something as big, in fact Dior was even bigger. 12 years since that happened, and I just thought, you know, it could be another 12 years before we maybe have, you know, a Gucci. There are creatives out there who may never get this opportunity. So myself and Mark and the agency took it upon ourselves to really use it as an opportunity to research what creative talent there was out there in Scotland, and it was incredible what some of the work that people were doing there. I mean, there were people coming from Inverness, from Oban, from Aberdeen, Glasgow, Edinburgh. I mean, we absolutely scoured the country to find this talent, and we were so
already
impressed.
working to a really high level. I think that's important.
Yeah.
So we rep makeup artists and stylists and hairstylists, but Rosalynd knew really quickly that we didn't have the pool of talent within our, you know, roster of people. So we had to look out with the agency. And agents don't like that anyway, because naturally you're a bit like, oh, I only want my talent to be involved in this. And Rosalynd was like, no, we're going to look for everybody we can in Scotland, who's based here, who's worked in a fashion capital. So she was finding people that had worked at Paris Fashion Week and that we'd never heard of, you know, quietly going through their day-to-day. I'm thinking, I've never met this person. They've never been, you know, at one of the Rent-A-Crowd events that people attend, we all go to and go, it's the same 42 people that attend every event. I've never met any of them.
I just felt we owed it to the Scottish creative talent industry to absolutely showcase the best of what we had onto a global stage. And we did. And they were all a good job. Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
It was.
So that's been a really proud moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just for Scotland, as well as us as an agency. If somebody had told us in 1998 that we would be working with Dior and providing 150 creatives and over 100 male models to be butlers.
Models, I'd just like to say 110.
110. For the tape.
Just for the tape. Can you think about even 10 really gorgeous men?
I've been on your website. Your website is, my goodness.
It's hard to choose.
Oh my goodness, what a pool of talent you have.
And you become immune to really gorgeous people. That's weird. Yeah, you do.
Not when you're a lawyer so much. Strike that out. Do you not? Anyway, better move on quickly from that. But I have pulsating there. I've heard you speak about obviously AI in the industry before, Alison. I really want to get your take on that, because it's a threat and it's an opportunity, because these things always are.
Yes.
How do you feel about it?
I do think it's a bit of a dehumanisation of where we're at as human beings. Forget modelling, the fact that we're being replaced in so many facets of life and work, and the biggest impact in our industry, modelling, is e-commerce. So if you're on a website and you're looking at, ASOS or Next, all the models on there are young men and women, and old men and women as well do e-commerce, that are out trying to earn a living. And that's going to just be obliterated. It's already happening. And H&M did the campaign that was all over the media, and it was saying, these IMG models, their images are protected. And, Tara from Switzerland was saying, this is wonderful. I didn't even have to get on a flight and get jet lag. I mean, I was nearly sick in my mouth when I heard that. I thought, well, actually, Jeannie from Glasgow or Paisley would really like to get on that flight and go to Paris and shoot e-commerce. So we're limiting opportunities for young people to go and work in the industry in a travel sense. But it's business and it makes sense. And if they can save money, then I get it.
We're not going to stop it.
We're not going to stop it. But what we are going to do...
We have to adapt to it.
We have to adapt and humanise.
See how we can license it and see how our talent can still be...
For sure.
Yeah.
Recompensed for it.
Because it's not going to go away. The thing is...
it's not.
No, and you can't fight it.
For all of us, you can't fight it, exactly.
It's too big a machine.
Yeah, we've got to work with it in some shape or form.
Absolutely.
Big tech companies are very fluid financially across the globe.
Yeah.
And they're financing government policies across the world. We all know that. So you've got things in social media just now in Australia where they've had the ban. You've now got people campaigning here so we have this necklace effect of countries coming together to ban kids being on social media in school, and I completely get that and respect it. I think it's the right move as a mother.
Absolutely.
My kids are older now, but as a mother, I think
mine are 10 and 13, and I think it would be a game changer.
Yes. I used to get frustrated when my kids are 21 and 24, but when they were at school, they were having to work on their phones.
Yeah.
Teachers were sharing things on there. So they were compelled to be on their phone to check homework and, a shared drive or whatever. And it used to drive me insane because I didn't want them to have their phones in their hand all the time, because then they have to build human connections. So yeah, the necklace effect with countries standing strong and saying our kids should not have phones in school is great, but big tech has a lot of money, and then they're going to fund things however they fund them and make the right noises. So we're up against it, which is why we can't push against AI. We just have to embrace it and see where it takes us next in our journey and evolution as an agency.
So as this is a podcast for women out there that want to set up businesses, scale businesses, obviously FoundHer Place scaling businesses, what would be your advice to somebody that came to you and said, look, I really want to set up a business? What would you say to them today?
I would say that it doesn't need to be perfect from the start. That will grow and evolve just as they will.
And what you think is perfect just now, next year we'll go, why did we do that? So you're always learning.
Yeah, I would say put your people first, whether it's your clients, your models, your staff. Everything else will flow from that. If you take care of people and treat them with respect, then everything would flow from there. I think you have to be incredibly resourceful. I think that in itself helps your resilience.
Tenacious,
have integrity.
Don't let other people tell you can't do that.
No, don't ever.
Your vision, so you have this vision as a young woman, right? Or an older woman that says, right, I want to do this business. And you'll take advice and you'll listen to people that will give you guidance, and you'll do the whole thing. I've got a mentor, or you might be lucky enough to have a business angel. We had none of that.
No.
But trust your gut. I think, generationally, we've moved away from trusting our gut as women, but women's instincts are really good.
Powerful.
Really powerful.
That's why it's the gut instinct, isn't it?
And we have to really trust ourselves more. We second guess ourselves and we'll go, oh, I don't know if I should do that, or I don't know if I'm confident enough, or I don't know if I'm, in a good enough place. But we were skint, basically. We had no money. I didn't marry for money, so there was no money there. I don't come from wealthy parents, so there was no money there. And then we were a bit like, how do we do this?
But that forced us to be resourceful.
Yeah, we just did it. And we just kept doing it. And it's kind of that whole, that it's probably some really philosophical saying where you just do the same thing all the time, but not to the point of insanity. But you have to just keep going with it and trust your vision. Is it a vision? I don't know.
We're still not perfect. I think that's why we're still doing it.
Yeah.
We're
There is
still
a song in
curious.
there.
We still want to learn.
Yeah.
I said there is a song in there, You're Perfect to Me, as you say.
And we still get excited every week. Like you were talking about high earlier. I don't have any. I get high or giddy about somebody that I found in Sainsbury's who didn't ever think she could model, and she's doing a test shoot. Like a test shoot that's not paid. I get giddy about that because she's excited.
And the confidence piece for her,
Yeah.
actually being selected, and she's out shopping in Sainsbury's, and somebody's approached, even though you thought you might have been the old mad bag lady. But
Well, I am the old mad bag lady. But do you know what's interesting about that? I say to models all the time, genetically, what you have is a gift. Parental. That's just good genes. What you do with it is now up to you, and how you choose to use that in a really positive way for your own life. Do you want to model for 5 years and save enough money to put a deposit in a flat? You have to be smart about what you do with it, and that comes down to them as individuals. You know, can they emotionally and intellectually do this job? Can they deal with rejection? Can they deal with somebody telling them they're not the right height, their shoe size is off, their chin's funny, their eyelashes don't look the same colour as their eyes? I mean, there's ridiculous conversations that come into play, and you as an agent have to say to them, that's what they are. They're ridiculous conversations. It's the emperor's new clothes. Ignore it.
But great advice for people coming into the industry, and actually having the two of you looking after them, the big arms round them.
Oh yeah.
And
a
that's lovely.
headlock.
I know.
Really.
And into the pub for first drinks.
Sometimes.
You can tell how passionate you both are, though. I mean, can't think of two better people to look after someone coming into the industry.
But the whole team is like that. We're really lucky
Ross
with
and
who we are.
Mark
The
and-
entire team feel the same way.
Yeah.
because you've set the right culture. Culture's there.
Yeah, but we're also lucky with the people that we've met and people that have approached us, or if we put out an advertisement for a job, people that have come through the door. We've been really lucky.
Do you
There's
think
so
that's
much.
luck, or do you not think it's because you attract like for like? Because
I think there's an element of that, but I don't get too bogged down in the attraction part, because then if I don't attract, like if I have a bad week and I'm attracting madness, I kind of think, right, okay.
it's a full moon.
Yeah, there's a lot of that in our office
I think
as well.
it's a lot of luck. It's a lot of the fact that we enjoy being around people, and we are constantly looking for opportunity. And the key thing is not just having the opportunity, it's actually being prepared and having everything in place that you can take that opportunity and run with it.
What's next for colours?
Well,
There's an exclusive here.
yeah, well, you do. For the first time in 28 years, we're actually starting another company with another business partner. So there's going to be 3 of us.
It's all women.
All women.
All women.
Again.
Fantastic.
Well, we're doing 2 things.
Yeah, we're doing 2.
We're setting 2. Well, we've set them up. So we're doing a company. We've set up a company called QC Collective, and we basically produce user-generated content, UGC, which I could go on about all day because I've become quite giddy about it. So it takes us back to the whole AI taking over from models, but UGC is about, it's not influencers, but it's about real people. So me with my baggy eyes, or somebody that's got hyperpigmentation in their skin, doing content for brands. And so we get them to produce it. They're content creators, and then we then share it with the brand.
And the brand can use it.
Right, that's hugely exciting.
So that's exciting. And and what else are we doing?
We are also launching a live events company that's going to be based around health and well-being, predominantly author-led to begin with, and we're doing that with the fabulous Heather City, who everybody loves. Everybody loves
You know, it's
Heather.
so funny when you say her name in any company, people go, "Oh, Heather!"
It's just great. That's
Isn't she?
fantastic.
So we're really excited.
It's like a dream
about that.
team for us.
And is that going to be happening this year?
Yes.
Good.
Yes, it is.
And the QC we're doing with a young girl called Zoe Quinn, who's got a company called Quinn Management, and she manages influencers, so she understands that whole digital thing.
Oh,
she's 29, so we feel like a couple of vampires, because we're like, how does this work? What do you do?
Just an expert on all things social media. She's fantastic.
And she's
content. She does her own podcasts. She's
really funny, which keeps us going.
yeah.
So there's no slowing down then.
There's
for
no
the two.
slowing down. I could do more. I could do more, I think.
We like the idea of slowing down.
I was going to say, I think that's a lovely note to end
this?
on. I could do more. I love that.
Thank you.
Thank you for being wonderful guests.
Oh no, it's been lovely.
Oh, we could stay all day.
Stay all day, we'll turn the camera.
Yes.
It's been great to have you here, and
we
in fact,
do.
I've had 2 exclusives.
I know.
Yes. I know.
Thank you so much.
Mary,
Thank you very much for
enjoyed
having us. We've
Yeah.
loved it.
The chat was great.
Loved it.
I know.
We should
thank
take
you
it
so
to the
much.
pub.
100%.
Thank you for listening. This episode is proudly supported by McKee, Campbell, Morrison Solicitors. Legal advice made simple.